Hello everyone, this is JPL, and today I'm joined with...
Matthew here.
Yes, and we're a podcast name in brackets. And today we'll be talking about the Zack Snyder Justice League movie. Um, yeah,
All 4 hours.
all 4 hours.
Hopefully,
Um,
it doesn't take us that long to talk about it, but you
it...
never know.
Oh, let's hope not. I mean, that's just a lot. It's a lot of movie to talk about.
Yeah,
Especially, it's also a lot of movie to remember, so...
yeah, yeah.
Um,
We saw it a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
I think it's like 2 weeks ago now that we watched it. Um, So, like, we both watched the Josh Whedon version before we watched the Disney one, right?
Yep. If you can call it watched and not cringed into the palm of my hand, then yeah,
Yes,
yeah. I watched it as well.
yes. And so, yeah, um, gosh, we did a podcast when the other one came out way back when.
Yeah, that
You were,
was a while ago. Twenty.
yeah, we were very positive back then.
What 1 year for each hour of the Snyder cut?
Oh my gosh, has it been that long?
It's been that long, 27.
Oh my gosh, we're so old now, Matthew.
Yeah, getting up there in years.
Yeah,
Remember when the Joss Whedon cut came out?
yeah, I remember just the whole release of Snyder Cut, just when that whole thing started.
Yeah, it's a crazy, crazy story.
Yeah,
I,
this is
I
like something that I never thought that we would actually get, but we finally have it now,
yeah,
and I'm just glad we have it. You know?
I would almost like to see a documentary about like the last 4 years and how it all came about because it's interesting.
Oh, I'm sure we'll get
I,
one.
I think it's maybe more interesting than the movie itself. But
Oh,
that's a discussion for later.
oh, Matthew, you guy, you guy with your jokes.
Yep.
Um, yeah. Overall, I'd say that this film was better than the Whedon version
Yeah, I would
by a
agree with
lot.
that assessment. Yeah, it I mean, and a lot of that is for like the obvious reasons of you have more time to spend with the characters, so the characters feel more fleshed out.
Yeah,
I was surprised. I think of the Snyder films I've seen, this is one of the more balanced in terms of tone.
okay.
It's yeah. I don't know. It just feels a little less sort of self-serious. It's still very serious, but less kind of like dark and nihilistic.
Sure.
And maybe it's just that I haven't seen any of his other films in a while. I don't think I've rewatched Batman versus Superman since that since the year that came out, the definitive edition. So
Yeah, I mean that's a long time ago now. So yeah, for my 4 hour movie, I I've seen it 3 times,
well,
which
that
is
is a lot.
that's a lot. I do kind of regret it.
That's 12 whole hours.
I
You,
do,
you
I
spend
do, I
half a
do,
day.
I do regret it more so that it's a lot of hours, but
Yeah,
I just, you know, I just wanted to make sure.
yeah.
You gotta make sure.
I mean,
It's
it's an exciting, it's an event movie.
And of course, it's like it's on HBO Max, and it's like easily accessible to watch it. So
Yeah, get done with it, immediately start it back up.
yeah, and because I've seen it 3 times, and it's been so long since we last saw it, just I don't have a whole lot to really say about the movie. I really don't. It just exists, and things happen in it. So I don't know. What do you want to talk about, Matthew?
Um, yeah, maybe we should kind of go character by character.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
just briefly. I don't know. I don't have too much to say on each character, but I think that's a way to structure this because I don't
Sure.
entirely remember the chronology of the movie.
Yeah. Um, I guess like we should start with Shakira. Uh,
Yeah, Wonder Woman.
no, Shakira.
Oh, Shakira. Sure,
Shakira.
sure. We can start with Shakira.
Yeah, let's start with Shakira. She's the backup vocal for every Wonder Woman and Amazonian stuff that happens.
Yeah, yeah. They have um a strange new theme for her.
Yeah,
I
which
don't know if I'm the biggest fan of it,
I don't
but
like it. I don't like it. I don't think it's fine one time. Even then, it's pushing it, but it's throughout the entire movie, and it just sounds like Shakira screeching.
yeah, I didn't mind it as much. I think if you hadn't pointed it out to me, I wouldn't have even necessarily noticed much, but it was maybe a bit over the top.
But yeah, besides that, music was fine
Yeah,
enough.
I don't remember the music from either movie really all that vividly, so
I think,
not the best, not the worst. Didn't really stand out to me, so
yeah. I mean, at least the music in this movie was more consistent with this universe.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, let's start with who should we begin with, Matthew? Wonder Woman.
Well, yeah, we can start with Wonder Woman. Um, I mean, she's my favorite of the DC EU heroes.
Ah,
I think
okay.
I think of the characters, she has kind of the least arc, but I thought she had a lot to do, which was nice. I particularly liked the way they brought in her day job as like a an art historian. They brought that in some interesting ways, I thought,
Sure,
and
yeah.
a lot of the more distasteful stuff from the Joss Whedon cut is gone.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that is the difference in creators. So, based on what we now know of Joss Whedon, yeah, I thought this was a, especially after Wonder Woman 1984, which I didn't dislike as much as other people, but I do agree that it was maybe a disappointing follow up. It was cool to see her being cool again in this type of movie.
Yeah. She was cool. Her fight scenes were cool.
Yeah,
That's all I have to say. I just prefer. I don't know. She was just cool.
yeah. I
Not
think
with
she had a good fight with. Oh, now I'm blanking on all the characters.
Stephen
But
Wolf.
Steppenwolf. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's not really much to say. Wonder Woman. She fights. She's Amazon. She's cool. She loves Steve Trevor.
yeah.
That's
Less so in this movie. That isn't her only character as
that.
agents here.
Yeah, Steve Trevor.
Yeah,
That's yeah.
I do remember in the Joss Whedon cut that felt like that was her only character.
I mean,
Whereas here it's like
They
brought
brought
up
him up
twice.
here, which I should probably talk about that moment where she talks about the plane.
Yeah,
She's like, "I know a man who would love to fly it," which is a line that makes no sense.
it's a very forced line.
It
It
is. It's a forced line, and on top of that, Steve Trevor was a spy more than he was a pilot.
yeah.
Sure, when he first appeared, he was flying a plane, but he did it to escape. And the second time he flew a plane, it was to blow up and die.
Yeah, he did fly a plane in
I
Wonder
wouldn't
Woman
I wouldn't
1984.
say that he loves flying planes, given his track record.
Yeah,
So, um, that line doesn't really make much sense to me. Even though Steve Trevor in the comics, I believe, was uh, a fighter, whatever you call him,
fighter
a fighter
pilot.
pilot. Yeah, fighter pilot. Yeah.
Yeah, I did think it felt like the callback was kind of part of the like, this is part of a cinematic universe, so you want to remind people what's going on. And I would guess when people think Steve Trevor, they think pilot. Um, so it didn't bother me necessarily, but I did appreciate that it was only one line rather than her spending the entire movie
Oh
sad
yeah,
about something that happened a hundred
yeah,
years ago.
uh-huh, yeah. Well, then 1984 brings him
Yeah,
back.
yeah. Which yeah, there's issues with that as well. Um,
Hmm.
but I do think I think Zack Snyder knows how to use Wonder Woman well,
Yeah.
especially in this one. Um, I thought she was also used well in Batman versus Superman, though maybe not as much as she could have been in the movie. But yeah, I enjoyed her in this film. I thought, I mean, Gal Gadot does a wonderful job acting, holds her own among a very talented cast,
Yeah.
and yeah, wonderful character. Hope that there's more in the future for her that's better than 1984, but we'll see.
Yeah. Is there anything else we should say about Wonder Woman?
I mean, we can talk about the rest of the Amazons here since
There's really not much to talk about. They fought. They were cool.
I
They
did
they
like
lost.
the extended fight scene with was it felt better than in the Joss Whedon cut. There it felt like there was more going on. Um, I wouldn't say it was revolutionary, but it was good.
Yeah.
I will say, and maybe I mean this is relevant to a lot of the film, but the color grading for Themyscira just felt off because in the original Wonder Woman movie, the 2000, when did that come out? Was that
17.
2017?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, in that one, like Themyscira is supposed to be this bright and very beautiful and green place, whereas in this film, it's just kind of gray and drab like everywhere else. And I know that's the Zack Snyder style, but I thought it might have been nice to get a bit more contrast. That and also the underwater stuff.
Well, it's been 100 years, Matthew.
Yeah, it has been 100 years, but I don't know. I like the color, and that's actually
Sure. Yeah. No, I get you. Color
one
is
of the
fine,
yeah.
but I think for what it is in this movie, it works.
I mean, it's Snyder's style, and I
Sure.
understand that. I do think the slow motion and the color grading are probably the things about Snyder stylistically that I have the most issue with. Um, and both of those are like less relevant in this film. I think he kind of dialed it back a bit, which I thought was good. But I still could have used a little bit more color in the Themyscira and underwater scenes, just to give it that, because they're magical places. You want that contrast.
Sure. So yeah, let's. I guess we should move on to what?
Well, let's do Batman because he's kind of the other. I guess he actually isn't the main character of this cut, but
Well, I guess no, he kind of is.
kind of. Yeah, it's a bit more of an ensemble.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, we can do Batman.
Okay. Batman. Um, thought he was cool. I mean,
Yeah,
I just love seeing that bat suit. I just think it's one of the nicer, more comic book accurate bat suits
yeah,
that
it's
I've
an
seen in live
interesting
action.
design. Yeah,
And it's
it's
just
very different from the other ones that have been on screen.
It's just nice to look at.
Yeah. Do,
Um,
I don't remember, maybe you do. Did they get rid of that weird vocal effect when he's in the costume?
uh,
I think they might have.
I
Either
don't
that or I
think
just got
so,
used to
but
it.
I think it was more prominent beforehand. Here
Okay.
it's just more subtle.
Yeah. Because I remember that bothered me in the Joss Whedon cut. But I mean, that's a bit of a nitpick.
Sure, Whedon, oh my gosh, Batman was much better in this one. He was better
Yeah.
treated in this one versus
He had
Whedon.
an arc.
Yeah, I mean, and not so much like an arc, but he was just there in a Whedon movie. Like
Yeah.
he had scenes that didn't really make a whole lot of sense, like the beginning scene with the parademon.
Yeah. That scene in the Whedon cut was absolutely baffling.
Yeah, but yeah, Batman didn't show up in his bat suit until like halfway through the movie.
Okay. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, you, you don't, but
Yeah.
he does. He shows up halfway through the movie, and that's why when he first wears it, it has this epic moment with
Yeah.
him standing on the gargoyle with raining and thunder. It's
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
cool.
And very comic booky type moment. Just
Yeah,
feels fun.
and he actually did stuff and fought instead of
Yeah.
just being thrown around. It's like, oh, yep, definitely bleeding.
Yeah. And I do think he has an arc in this movie, and it actually retroactively I think fixes some of the issues with Batman versus Superman, or maybe fixes is the wrong word. Recontextualizes might be better. Because in Batman versus Superman, the whole thing in that is Batman is completely logic, no like faith.
I mean, yeah, like he just gave up pretty much
So
in that movie. Just
yeah. So to see him kind of become a more sort of risk, he's willing to take risks. He's willing to he changes very much in a way that I just didn't seem to happen in the Joss Whedon version. It just seemed like a night and day shift, whereas here there's a little bit of time given to it.
like
Um,
I wouldn't really say that a lot of like the writing for Batman really felt like Batman, but it was fine.
yeah,
Just having that character there, just it worked well. Um, I will say that his scenes with Diana were interesting,
you know,
especially that one moment where they touched the mouse at the same time.
well,
Which,
yeah, I,
yeah,
I felt like they downplayed the romantic stuff,
good
which
because
Joss Whedon played up the romantic stuff.
like as much as I do love the Batman and Wonder Woman romance, I don't think it should be as fast as they were trying to push it in the last movie.
Yeah, they're very different characters.
Yeah,
So it feels a bit strange that they just immediately it feels very forced. Um, it's like what we were just talking about with
it's I
a
mean it's
different film. There's a guy and a girl and they're in the same general vicinity, so oh now they must be in love.
well
Uh,
I think it's also just trying to reference the kids cartoon
yeah,
where Batman and Wonder Woman had like a tease there,
yeah,
which was really nice and more well developed than this, but still it's just hints.
yeah. And who knows what would have happened if Zack Snyder was able to make the next film in the DC saga. Who knows what direction that would have gone
Yeah,
in.
because I do feel like there is some subtext there that there could be a relationship in the future.
Yeah,
Especially, I don't know. Forget no. I
and
just
I mean if it's well developed,
Yeah.
and
Well,
that and it
I won't say well developed, but it's developed.
yeah, and it takes it gives Wonder Woman a different thing to do besides pine for Steve Trevor eternally. Um,
Sure.
which
Yeah.
is and that feels like a very old trope of like the female character is in love and then never falls in love again. It seems very sort of reductive to Wonder Woman as a character that she
Sure.
would still be hung up on this guy hundreds of years later.
Mm-hmm. And I think Batman is mostly covered.
Yeah,
Uh,
maybe we should talk a bit about Alfred and I don't know, Commissioner Gordon
Alfred
doesn't
is
have
just
much of a
cute in
role.
this movie.
Yeah,
I really liked his scenes. He was just so fun to watch.
yeah, he bounced well off of the different characters. He has like that right amount of sass that balances out
Mm-hmm.
Batman's sort of edginess.
And also just that scene with the tea.
Yes, that
I
scene with
just
the
really
tea is
loved.
excellent. I
Yeah.
think that's a very good example of how you can have humor in a film and still have a serious tone.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
also just a very subtle thing. It's just
yeah,
Alfred trying to be the butler
yeah,
and just trying to serve tea to Diana, who's essentially a princess. So, you
yeah,
know,
and it's wonderful because I think Snyder kind of in his other films struggles to find good places for humor. So I felt like that moment was a very good humor moment
mhm.
that didn't break with the tone of the film. I think some of the other humor kind of did a little bit. But that scene felt very well integrated, very good character moment for both characters. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that in a 4 hour version of the film, you get those kind of smaller moments that might not have made it into the theatrical cut. It might have if Zack Snyder was given his way, but yeah, those are the types of things I look for when I watch a long movie.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, let's move on to the Flash.
Yeah, speaking of humor that doesn't quite fit in,
Oh boy.
I
I
mean,
mean,
he fits in most of the time. His introduction scene is just so strange.
oh my gosh. Yeah.
I think the hot dog just takes it way too far over the edge.
It's it's really the music.
The music as well. I
Just
think it's a lot of things. The setup for the scene is just it's so Saturday morning cartoon in a film that is very not Saturday morning cartoon. Like it honestly feels like the type of scene that Joss Whedon would have filmed. It feels like that scene belonged in the 2017 version because it's just so silly and strange and out of
yeah. I don't really think that Snyder has a full grasp on the Barry Allen character because
yeah,
I never really once felt that this was his character. He was just I don't know. The writing for his comedy wasn't really that funny.
yeah,
Um, he was just weird. He was worse in the Whedon version, but you know, still not perfect here.
yeah.
I
I
will
mean,
say what this movie does better is his action scenes.
yeah,
Like he does more stuff and he's useful and they're really cool to watch.
yeah. I think this film, this cut of the movie better understands what to do with him. And I do like Ezra Miller's performance
Yeah, it's
and
alright.
humor style in general, so I might be a bit biased. But yeah, I felt this worked.
I don't really felt that his style fits this character, but yeah.
Okay. I mean, and I'm not familiar with the Barry Allen character from the comics or the show really, so I can't speak to I felt like having the Flash though as the comedic relief worked for this film,
Yeah,
even if
I
not
mean,
all of the comedy.
Flash is always a comedic character,
Yeah,
but his comedy in this film wasn't really that great in some aspects.
yeah, I can see that. It never really bothered me except for that introduction scene, which
Yeah, I mean,
and yeah,
I think this introduction scene was cool for his slowing down of time.
yeah,
Uh, we get to see Iris West, and that's about it. But the whole creepy stalker thing
yeah. It
was a little bit
it's
much.
very yeah, and especially when you like look into Ezra Miller in real life, it feels a little more icky. But I mean, yeah, it took me out of the film more than most of the scenes. Which in a 4 hour film, if there's a few duds in there, then yeah, that's going to be the case. But I almost wish there were a 3 hour cut that kind of cut down on some of the less
Yeah,
useful scenes. And yeah,
but something that was really surprised is that he has a moment. He has a moment in this movie where he saves the day, pretty much.
yeah, no, that I did not expect. I
No,
didn't see that coming at all.
which we'll get to later, but it's a really good moment, really cool, good music. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, they did good with the character.
Even
I
though
think
if
he had
you
more to do.
even though if you start thinking about what's actually happening, it doesn't make much sense.
No, I mean
But
it's about
it's
as
so
much as
cool.
the ending to the original Superman movie way back when. But
Well, no, not so much that part. It's just we'll just get to that later.
okay, yeah,
We'll get to that later. Um, now we have Aquaman.
yeah. I don't know about Aquaman.
He's just the same, honestly.
I think I like him in his solo movie more than I like him here. I don't think he works as a brooding character the way Jason Momoa plays him.
I think this Aquaman in this movie was more of a setup for his
Yeah,
movie
yeah,
than it
and
was,
and
an act. Yeah,
yeah, and I think I mean part of the problem is you already have so many brooding characters in a Zack Snyder film that you kind of want the sort of crazy, over the top, fun energy that Jason Momoa has as an actor, and had in his solo film. And I think here I kind of missed that. I can't really say I remember much of him as a character.
yeah.
Um,
Well, at least this one we have that scene.
yeah, we do have that interesting scene. The Iceland stuff. Iceland is a beautiful country, and they have some good cinematography.
Beautiful culture.
Too much glacier shots for Batman on his horse. But again, you need to get to that 4 hour runtime, so
Yeah.
I understand that. I don't quite understand why Batman speaks Icelandic. Um, but
Well,
we'll,
Batman speaks many languages.
yeah, we'll just skip over that to talk about the absolutely wild scene where a lady sniffs Aquaman's shirt while an Icelandic choir sings behind her. Like,
Like, here's the thing: if the song was just playing, was a very quick moment, it'd be fine. But it keeps holding on that
yeah,
group for
yeah,
so long, and it just gets so uncomfortable really fast.
yeah. The whole even just the sniffing Aquaman's shirt is strange, but then when you hold on that and then the choir in the background, I mean, it was entertaining. It was entertaining. I will give it that. I don't think it was meant to be entertaining, but it was very entertaining.
Sure, it was. I think it was supposed to be more symbolic of how Aquaman has become this godlike figure to these people that the women are pawning for him. I don't know.
I don't know because that I mean it makes sense with his character in this film, but not in his solo film. It was just a weird moment that I mean, and yeah, you have to hit the 4 hour runtime. I
Sure.
don't know why they filmed that scene in the first place, but they did. So they're like, okay, here's where we'll throw it in.
Yeah. He has more scenes on the water, which were nice.
Yeah, and the underwater stuff. I mean, besides the like weird air bubbles for any time the dialogue scenes happen, like
Which makes sense
I
to
wasn't
me.
I wasn't I thought it worked in Aquaman when they just talked.
Yeah, but I understand why they did the whole bubble thing
Yeah,
because
no,
you don't.
I understand where they're, and it seems like Justice League was developed quite a while before Aquaman was in
Like
production.
clearly, like Mara is a completely different
Yeah,
character.
yeah, and Mira did have a cool blood bending scene,
Sure. Yes.
and a weird British accent.
Oh, Amber Heard, you're not
Yeah,
that great an actress.
I mean, again, though, I go back to the complaint of I just wish it were more colorful underwater. I miss the because the Aquaman movie is just so much fun, and a big part of that is the bright colors and the it feels like its own thing.
I think there's a version of this movie in black and white.
Yeah, honestly, that might work better. That might work better because then you don't notice how the colors are
But
done.
yeah, but besides his underwater scenes, Aquaman doesn't really have much new stuff in the final battle. He doesn't really add much except stabbing Steppenwolf in the back.
Yeah, and I mean he's a difficult character to fit into battle situations with a giant team, kind of like Batman. When you have Wonder Woman and you have Superman, anyone who can't fly is kind of at a major
But
disadvantage.
even Batman had more to do.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, one thing I forgot to talk about with the Flash. It feels like everyone in this film has super speed because, and part of it is the overuse of slow motion
Sure.
because that's not just the thing Flash does. But there were several moments where Wonder Woman was moving at super speed, and obviously the whole Superman turning his head very ominously, like that's cool. But when Wonder Woman's also doing it, and I think Aquaman might have had a moment of doing it. I think
No,
Cyborg did.
Aquaman didn't have that moment. Cyborg
Okay,
didn't have that
Cyborg.
moment. No.
I think there was. Anyway, it cheapened the character of Flash a little bit.
Well, if I think about it, it's like those other characters are capable of being faster than normal. It's just
Yeah,
that Flash is much faster than them.
yeah. I mean, I understand that.
That's why
It's a
when
nitpick.
Superman fights the Flash, he's much slower,
Yeah,
but he's still fast.
yeah. I don't know. It's more of a nitpick than an actual issue.
No, I get that. I was thinking about that, but now it's just like, nah, Flash is faster. That's what he's good for. He's just faster.
Yeah,
Um, so Cyborg is really the meat of this film, pretty
yeah.
much.
No, I mean, it surprised me,
It
though.
really did, yeah.
In retrospect, knowing what we now know about Joss Whedon, it shouldn't have surprised me. Um, but yeah, he's the heart of the film.
And I really liked Cyborg in this film. I really did. I
I
wasn't expecting to, but I was surprised. I just did.
yeah, I thought he was a very well developed character. Um, personally, I'd been watching Doom Patrol, and I think that interpretation of the character works better for me. So I was kind of comparing the two watching this. I think,
I mean, of all the cyborgs,
but
this is not my
yeah,
favorite, but I really liked
yeah,
how this one worked.
much better interpretation than the Joss Whedon cut,
Oh my,
obviously.
yeah, because he has a backstory.
Yeah,
He
and I
has,
like that whole scene of the him and the bank and sort of all of the,
yeah,
like inside his head and imagining that. It works very well. Um, yeah, it just happens that I've been watching Doom Patrol recently, so that was kind of on my mind watching this movie, and yeah.
and like he had an arc in this movie,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
which was really
He,
nice to
he,
see.
he's the heart of the film.
Yeah,
It's that's why I said Batman isn't really the main character, because if anyone is the main character, it's Cyborg, because he's
yeah,
who has the development. He's the one who has the arc. Um, he's the heart of the film, and it's his story that kind of propels the emotion of the story.
yeah. I mean, he doesn't say his catchphrase in this movie, but
Yeah,
it's
and
fine.
I think that would have clashed with his portrayal here. He's much more of a brooding character. Um,
It's
which I
it
mean,
makes sense for where he's at in
yeah,
life.
yeah. There's a lot of trauma in his past. So personally, like I do, like I said, I enjoy the Doom Patrol interpretation of the character better. But I mean, he is the center of the film. So yeah, just very well done interpretation of the character, even if he's not quite my favorite interpretation of the character.
Yeah. And then the last of our heroes.
Well, before we move on, we should talk about all of the Silas Stone as
Oh yeah, much bigger role in this film as
yeah,
well.
and very interesting character as well.
Sure, he dies in this film.
Yeah. Well, he's introduced in this film and also dies in this film.
Well,
That yeah,
it's
that's
kind
one
of
of
introduced in BBS, but
yeah. That's one of the interesting things about this. And actually, I wonder if this might work better as a TV miniseries, just because it introduces so much and then pays off so much. And that's why it's 4 hours long, because there's a lot to get through. But I feel like almost a TV miniseries, you have like time between each episode to kind of like establish something. So if you haven't seen this and for some reason you're listening to this, I would actually recommend doing an hour or two a night rather than the whole thing at once.
I'd still say just watch it all at once.
I mean, it is partially a matter of preference.
Yeah,
But yeah, it goes through so much from beginning to end, and yeah, the character of Silas Stone is one of those characters who I mean, it's really great. I think that the 4 hours aren't just like more spectacle. There's a lot of character stuff in here as well, and character stuff beyond just the Justice League.
yeah. So anyway, uh, our last of our main group of heroes is Superman,
Yeah,
who's in this film.
briefly.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much to say about Superman. He's pretty much the same.
Yeah, his
Not much of a story arc. He comes back to life, beats Steppenwolf, and that's it.
his black suit doesn't do anything. And that is like again, I'm going to complain about the color a lot. I do miss the color of the Superman suit.
Yeah, I mean, the
Um,
black suit is
if if they
more
were going to do
so like, oh, that's the suit he wears when he comes back from the dead.
yeah,
Yeah, but they took out the reason why he wears a black suit.
yeah,
It's because it absorbs the sunlight.
Yeah, it would have been if there was a reason, if there was especially a character change to correspond with it. If anything, he's gotten less cynical than in Batman versus Superman. So having him wear the black suit just feels kind of like, yeah, it didn't work for me. Um, I understand that you want to do it for like
You
the
just want to
reference.
see him in the black suit,
Yeah, yeah.
But
But I think sometimes, and I think the rest of the movie does so well at this. Sometimes you do things because they work for the story, not because it's a reference to the comics,
sure.
or because they work for the characters. The entire character of Cyborg is a great example of this. He's a character that is very different from who he is in the comics and in other media because that's what works with the story.
Yeah. I know something interesting about the soundtrack?
I do want to know something interesting about the soundtrack.
It's 8 hours long.
Oh wow, that is usually it's shorter than the film.
Yeah. It's it's an 8 hour soundtrack for a 4 hour film.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I don't I don't know why he did that, but there you go.
Yeah. And who's the composer? Is it
It's junky.
okay? Yeah, because
Same composer for Kong.
they have different the two different cuts have different composers, right?
Because the Whedon one has Danny Elfman,
Yeah,
who's a fine composer, but not for that film,
yeah,
especially with what had come before.
yeah. I do remember from the Joss Whedon cut that there were hints of the character themes.
From
Were there?
the older
Yeah.
movies, but not from this universe.
Which I just like the Batman and Superman themes
I
that I
know.
thought
I
were just
loved it when I heard them, but it's also like, oh, that's not their theme, though.
yeah. I just liked it enough, but I didn't miss them in the Zack Snyder cut.
No, I didn't miss them, but you know, they're I they're their own thing.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, not really much to say about Superman. He comes back from the dead. He kills Steppenwolf,
yeah.
and he's
That
Superman.
was a very violent death.
I'd say that he had more stuff to do in the other film,
Yeah,
but that stuff wasn't really well written.
yeah, and I mean, yeah, I have not particularly. This is actually this Snyder cut is the most I've cared about the DCEU Superman. What I'll say, what I have said in the past is that in the entirety of Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman, I never cared about the character of Superman, whereas in the hour and a half long animated Death of Superman movie, it got me to care about Superman, even though the Death of Superman is in the title. Um, so I think him coming back and being a little less brooding, I think it works.
Yeah.
Because we already have a lot of brooding characters, and that
Yeah.
was the issue I had with Batman versus Superman. I believe we did a podcast on it though, so I
Oh, yeah, so many
look
years
back.
ago, back when we were young.
And it could also be. I mean, I saw the original Justice League cut right after I saw Batman versus Superman a year later. Now it's been 4 years since I've seen either of them, so with some time, it may just be my
All
thoughts have
right.
slowed a bit.
Yeah. Let's talk about the secret superhero in this film.
Okay. Oh wait,
Lo-
wait. We do need to talk about um Lois Lane.
Yeah, she was in this film.
Yeah, I thought she had some very nice scenes.
Or like her scenes were appropriate, of course,
She
but
she had some she
she
had some
didn't
very
really do
nice-
much in this film.
yeah.
Appropriately, of course.
She gave a cup of coffee to a cop, mostly in slow motion.
No, that wasn't the slow motion part though.
There was some slow motion in that coffee scene. It wasn't as
Nah.
egregious. But then the scene that I like that she's in this movie because it gives the
Sure,
death
yeah.
of Superman weight.
And it connects her to Superman.
Yeah,
Like, I like her in this film more than the Whedon version because she shows up because she sees Superman in this film, and
yeah,
not because Bruce is like, she's my secret weapon.
yeah. She has a bit more agency.
Yes.
Um, and I mean, Amy Adams is just such a good actor that anytime you can get her in a film is great.
But can we
I
talk
think she's a
about
bit
the
underutilized.
secret superhero in this film?
Yeah, that's one of the two scenes, well, maybe three scenes that, four scenes. We've already talked about two of them, the
Hmm.
shirt sniffing and the Flash introduction scene, but another of the scenes that just really bothered me, and the scene itself is great, um, because it's this conversation between Lois Lane and Martha Kent, and it's a lot about like their emotions and very good character stuff. And I thought it was, I mean, you have two legendary actors working together in this scene, very emotional, very wonderful. And then Martha Kent steps outside the door and turns into the Martian Manhunter.
Yep.
And it just makes absolutely no sense with the scene before it.
Like, here's the thing. I love Martian Manhunter, and seeing him in live action is really cool. But it's also like, but why though?
Yeah, I mean, it's such this good scene between Martha Kent and
It's why
Lois
though
Lane.
because the dialogue doesn't really fit Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, no, because Martha tells Lois, "I'm so proud of you," and like, oh, and I'm also selling the house, and then turns into Martian Manhunter. So that means Martian Manhunter went to Lois Lane's apartment, disguised himself as Lois Lane's mother-in-law to tell Lois Lane that her mother-in-law is proud of her and is selling the house.
So also another strange thing is apparently this was the original plan as well.
That that just blows
That
my mind.
Martian Manhunter was visited Lois as Martha.
I mean,
But something I'm thinking of is I wonder if it was supposed to be a different scene.
yeah, I feel like it has to be because it doesn't make any sense with the scene that they put it in.
But I'm just psyched to see Martian Manhunter that I just don't care. You know,
Yeah, I
it's a
mean, I
scene that
mean,
doesn't make much sense, but whatever.
yeah,
Manhunter.
he's a cool character. It just it bothered me so much when he showed up at the
I
end of
know.
that scene.
I know. Well, I was excited, but it's still like, what? Okay.
I think his scene later in the film, which is another scene that bothers me, but I think it makes more sense when he shows up there. And we'll talk about that scene
it's
more later.
it's a weird scene, but Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, I wish he had actually been in the film. I wish that he had actually showed up for the final fight.
I don't know. That'd be kind of much, because then you had to set up his character,
I mean, not
kind of.
necessarily. I think he could have made it work. I think it would have worked better than having a very emotional scene between two characters we know and care about, and then just having him like be one of those characters. But that's also the kind of thing where I understand like Zack Snyder might not be making any
Also,
more.
if you don't know who Martian Manhunter is, this is a really wild scene.
Yeah,
Because, like,
no,
what the heck is going on? Is what you're thinking.
yeah, it's a very very strange scene, and that's why it's in the category along with the Flash introduction scene and the sniffing Aquaman shirt scene as maybe things that it's a 4-hour movie. Maybe we didn't need it to be 4 hours long.
I just felt like with all the stuff that they wanted to do in this film, it should have been either a longer film or two parts.
Yeah, I think though the story is so well contained to this film.
It's
I
so I
think
think
I
the
think
parts
yeah,
that should not really be in this film are of course the epilogue.
yeah. Do we want to talk about that or wait until after we talk
And let's just
about
talk
the
about the
episode?
epilogue real quick.
Okay. Yep.
So we have the nightmare scene with
Yeah.
Batman in the future, in a post-apocalyptic future. You know, the stuff that we saw in BVS,
Hmm.
which is really cool stuff. Obviously, setting up for a possible sequel, but it doesn't really fit this movie.
Yeah. And I got to be honest, I'm just not that interested in the nightmare stuff.
I like it.
Yeah, I know some people like it. I just don't find it all that interesting. But I mean, it kind of feels like to me the kind of thing that isn't ever going to like it's the kind of like future that you try and prevent type of storyline.
But we're never going
Um,
to get to,
but we're never going to get
sadly.
yeah we're never going to get to it. So it just feels out of place. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, you're trying to set up a cinematic universe, so that's kind of part of it. Um, but yeah, the scene itself, where a character, a very popular character, played by a very controversial actor,
Yeah, we know the Joker.
Joker, shows up, and
You know, I was really hoping that Leto would do a better performance.
I mean, he did a
I
better performance. It wasn't good.
I wouldn't
It
even
was
say it was a
better.
better performance. It was weird.
Yeah,
I
it.
mean, here's the thing. I still like that scene because I just like seeing the Joker, but still, just felt like I was watching Jim Carrey.
I mean, yeah, it felt like exactly what I expected
Hmm.
the scene between Jared Leto's Joker and Ben Affleck's Batman to look like. It was awkward, not particularly well written, and just weird in ways that it shouldn't have been.
It's not great, but I like it for some reason.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I thought it was just misplaced,
Sure,
and
of
it's
course.
all the movie's already, and it's the very end of the movie, so you've already been sitting there for 4 hours, and then there's just this tacked on scene. It isn't even an after credit scene. If it had been an after credit scene, maybe I would be a little less harsh on it. But no, this is the last scene of the film before the credits roll.
Hmm.
So it means I don't have to script through the credits to get there, but it also, there's no buffer between it and the rest of the film.
Yeah, and it's clearly just a scene for Snyder to do his last thing before he
Yeah.
leaves.
No, it doesn't connect to anything. It just kind of sits there. And yeah, the Martian Manhunter shows up at the end, which I thought worked better than Joker.
But
But
I don't know why he's showing up.
yeah,
It's like, I have a stake in this planet. It's like, did you not before? You were a U.S. general.
yeah. It's very, I mean, it's setting up for a sequel that likely won't happen.
Yeah.
And like, it shows how the cinematic universe type storytelling just sometimes doesn't work. Because if there were a sequel happening, we would look back at the scene very differently than we are looking at it now.
Yeah.
And now it just feels awkward, and it doesn't it leaves a weird taste in your mouth after the rest of the film. that I dis or I liked the rest of the film less because of that scene and because it was the last scene. That was the last impression it leaves before you get up from your computer and
Yeah, I mean, there was
go
also
to
another
connect.
tease before that scene with
Yeah,
Lex Luthor and Deathstroke, which I felt was a much better tease than the one in the last film.
yeah. No, the Injustice League is hilarious.
It's
Um,
like, but why though?
the Injustice League is absolutely
Because
hilarious and does
don't get
not
me wrong,
fit
I like
in
the
the DCU.
Injustice League as a thing, but it just didn't really make sense
Yeah,
why they would do that. Here, having it be solely for Batman, I'm like, yeah, I want to see that movie.
yeah, yeah. And why Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor? Speaking
No,
of disappointing villain, um, yeah, it just doesn't work. We really do need that Injustice League movie though with Jared Leto's Joker and Jesse Eisenberg's
like
like
if
Luthor just
there's
to watch the
if
trash fire.
here's the thing, if there's just one Snyder Justice League thing left, is just do the Apocalypse thing. That's all I
Yeah,
want to see
yeah,
finished, because that's all that's left that's set up.
yeah. I don't. Yeah, I'm there. There are reasons I'm glad that Zack Snyder isn't making more DC movies, and it's unfortunate. It would have been interesting to see his interpretation, but Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor just doesn't work. Jared
I don't
Leto as
really
the
care.
Joker, which was a Suicide Squad thing, so I don't know how much say Zack Snyder had in that, but it just doesn't work.
Sure. Um. So yeah, then of course the villains of Steppenwolf.
Yeah,
He is not the main villain. He is, but he's not
he is.
the. He's
He's the
not like
villain.
the
He's
one
not the
in
head
charge.
honcho. Yeah,
Yeah, which he was in Whedon, which was strange because everyone's waiting for Darkseid.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I think so. When you have a villain, you want the villain to be either intimidating or interesting. Doesn't need to be that intimidating or that interesting. Just a little bit, a touch of one of those. The Joss Whedon version of Steppenwolf is not intimidating at all and is not interesting at all. So the Zack Snyder version
Looks cool.
adds
Looks
adds
intimidating.
uh, looks cool is maybe. I mean, it looks like he's wearing a magneted outfit and he walked through his mom's silverware drawer. But he's more imposing, so
Sure, and
he's
he
more
has more of like a reason to be doing
yeah.
things.
He's more interesting. He's a little bit more imposing. He looks more ridiculous, but I mean, that is I have come to terms with that. I think even the voice they changed a little bit. Um,
Slightly, it's more so the modulation than the
yeah,
actor.
yeah. No, I don't. I don't think they brought the actor back to redo lines, but well, maybe they did, because I would guess they added. Maybe they didn't add lines, but who knows?
But
It,
yeah, I think the more geek side of things is Darkseid is in this film.
yeah, I thought very well handled. I think
I
he has.
wanted more Darkseid, which
I
is the
honestly,
thing.
I honestly, I think it's better that we didn't have more of him.
I
It's
yeah,
it's a good. It's like
like
the shark
especially if we're
in Jaws.
setting up for a sequel.
The shark in Jaws. Just this character who you don't see a lot of and is more intimidating because of it. Because I mean, to be honest, like the designs for all of the CGI characters, they kind of look the same. Like they have that same kind of like gray CGI feel to them. So I feel like if we had gotten too much dark side, it would have started. He would have just started to seem a little bit comical. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think they handled the character well as a setup for a movie that will never happen.
Yeah, tis a shame because
Yeah,
I really would have wanted to see what this dark side would have done, but
yeah,
especially since like we don't really have a live action dark side. We
yeah,
don't.
yeah.
So we just need one.
Yeah. I think, and part of it is you want the Thanos level overarching villain. Um, and the way that they use Darkseid in the film feels very Thanos.
Ah,
Having the you good?
yeah,
Yeah, okay. Just having the mostly interacting with like Steppenwolf is working for him, but through Desaad, this kind of that it reminded me of the first Avengers movie,
sure.
um, and not in a bad way. I do like the idea though of the DCEU going in a different direction and kind of not needing an overarching villain to build to.
I mean, sure, no, that whole thing is fine. I still don't think that the DCU has done that well so much afterwards because I don't really like Shazam. I don't really like Birds of Prey. I haven't seen Wonder Woman, but I do feel that there is some negativity towards it. So yeah, we'll see.
I mean, yeah, I'm a bit biased. I really
Honestly,
like Birds of Prey. I really like Shazam.
honestly, like this universe is just failed, pretty much.
Yeah, I wouldn't go so far as to say that. I think it
I,
has
I think it's I
connected.
think it's failed for what it started out to be.
Yeah,
Because it's like it started out to be this one thing, and they just completely changed directions, and that's where I feel that they failed. Because they changed things to be just way open ended now.
yeah. I mean, and what I like about that is it's more individual character focused. Um, but I do think you don't get the big event movies quite the same way. Um, and I've enjoyed a lot of the standalone DC
Yeah,
movies. Um, I would say I enjoy a lot of them more than I do the average Marvel film, though. The not so great DC movies tend to be less good than the average Marvel film. So
but yeah, more about this film. Stuff happens.
yeah, I thought the flash forward to the dark side future that was more interesting to me than the nightmare stuff.
Yeah,
So
the
like
dark side.
the very brief when before they resurrect Superman.
I mean, that would be like, oh my gosh, this is what would happen
Yeah,
if
yeah,
things go wrong.
yeah. I thought that worked well.
Hmm.
Better than any of the nightmare stuff has worked for me.
Sure, keep saying that. But yeah, what's really there to say about this film? Stuff happens. Pretty
I thought
cool.
it was interesting that this was rated R. Not in that I'm questioning the rating, but in I'm questioning the motivation behind the rating.
I
And
don't
I
know.
would guess, yeah, I would guess,
Snyder's just doing stuff.
yeah, I would guess this was originally meant to be like Batman versus Superman, where they would have toned down the violence and the swearing for the theatrical cut, and then added it back in for the extended.
Yeah,
I just it's interesting seeing because I mean the Marvel films are very kid friendly. I mean, not even necessarily kid friendly, but they're designed for a wider audience.
Yeah,
And I wonder somewhat if that is partially responsible for the differing successes of the two franchises.
hmm Um, I guess what's there really left to say? I mean, we could talk about that Flash moment.
Yeah, I like the reversing time moment. I think it gave Flash something tangible to do.
hmm
Because for the rest of the fight, he's kind of off
Running.
on his own, running in circles, doing nothing else. Um,
Uh-huh. But it gave like a whole tension, and it's like,
yeah,
holy crap, our hero is actually lost.
yeah.
Like, whoa. And then the Flash survives. I don't know how the Flash even survives.
I mean, yeah,
I mean,
it worked.
the best way I could explain it is, well, while the explosion was happening, he was phasing,
Mhm.
but there was no ground left, and yet he was running.
Yeah, it, I think they gave him something to do.
But yeah, that
And
was
that's
a
like,
really cool moment. I really
yeah,
liked it.
yeah. That was the kind of stuff that was missing from the Whedon cut,
Sure.
especially for Flash and Cyborg. The like moments where they just get to be cool.
Is there anything else we need to talk about in this film? Like, I know it's a really long film. There's lots of stuff we didn't talk about, but what's there really to say?
I I mean overarching things. I like the whole superhero heist moment when they break
Eh,
in
I mean, it's fine.
the
It's
yeah.
average.
I mean it's a fun thing to do. That's the kind of thing that I don't think the Avengers have done that kind of thing.
Except for
Like we,
Captain America, but not so
well,
much.
like the Avengers as like a whole team.
I mean,
I think it's a fun.
Endgame had their own heist type thing.
Yeah, but that was different. That wasn't the entire team working together. I just think. I mean, I like heist moments, so I thought it was fun.
Yeah, because we talked about Martian Manhunter, we talked about Flash. The fighting was fine.
I am curious what you think of the visual style this film versus Whedon's cut.
I mean, I liked it. I thought it was fine. I mean, there's not really much for me to say about it.
Yeah, I liked some of it. I also disliked some of the like. I've already talked about the color, but yeah, I missed color by the end of the film.
I don't know. I was fine without it. I feel like the color for the Whedon verse, while yes, it was pretty, I just didn't really feel like it really worked that well for what they were
I
wanting to
think
do.
like the I'm more talking about like the specific like I think the mascara, the way Zack Snyder films it is just it's filmed the exact same way Iceland is filmed.
Sure.
So I don't know. It gives a sameness to all of the locations, which I mean there's good and bad in that.
Yeah.
I don't remember entirely if the Whedon cut had that. I feel like the Whedon cut might have also been the same, just more saturated. So
I feel like there was something that we were wanting to talk more about, but we didn't.
it might have been.
Was there a Batman moment that we wanted to talk about?
I don't know. I don't. I don't recall any. singling out any Batman moment.
No. I feel like there was more about the Flash, though.
Yeah. Well, we talked about the last fight sequence with the Flash,
Yeah.
which the entire last battle worked better when there isn't like an awkward family in it.
Yeah, the family there that makes no sense because it's a
Yeah.
power plant.
Yeah. It's like Chernobyl, but then there's a family living there.
Yeah.
I will say the moment with the little girl where she pulls out the bug spray and the parademons are all around.
Uh,
That was
no.
fun. That was fun.
It's cute, but I don't think it works. I don't think it works.
It's cute. I don't know that it works with the tone of the film. I thought it was fun.
Oh
I,
yeah,
I,
like
I didn't like miss it.
oh yes. How about that scene with Batman in his car with the Flash? That weird
Oh,
music.
the weird music. I do not remember the weird music. I do
You
remember
could,
thinking,
like when they first meet, because
yeah,
it does this weird dubstep music when he shows off his car.
oh yeah.
And it's just,
And I mean that scene. I thought that was a Joss Whedon scene. I thought the
I'm
"What's your
rich.
power? I'm rich." I thought that was a Joss Whedon line. I don't
That's
think.
not. That should not be his line
Yeah,
though. His line should be "I'm Batman."
yeah. It's the type of self-aware that doesn't work in the type of film.
That's no. It's a type of self-aware that's more of a Marvel thing than a DC
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. And I don't dislike it. And maybe I do kind of dislike it.
I kind of
It surprised,
dislike it, but I
it
don't
surprised
hate
me
it.
that it surprised me that it was still in the film. Um,
Yeah,
and that was like we talked about the key moment, which is a great moment that doesn't break with the logic of the film. I think that was a moment that broke with the logic of the film.
which moment?
The I'm rich
Uh huh.
moment. Yeah, the key moment with Wonder Woman and or Diana and Alfred. That worked much better as like a moment of humor.
Sure.
But I mean, I am just glad to have any humor in a Zack Snyder film, so that is not unintentional.
Yeah. Overall, I'd say that it's all right. It's a fine movie. Not the greatest thing in the world, but you can watch it.
I mean, it might be my favorite of the Snyder films that I've seen.
Maybe.
Even I think it's even better. I think honestly because part of the problem with Snyder films for me is that they're all kind of the same type of grandiose, over the top, self serious, and it felt like this one was a little less grandiose, a little less over the top, and a little less self serious.
I think this movie as a whole with all the characters is the best for Snyder.
It's the most character focused.
Uh-huh. Well, I do prefer Batman in the BBS more so his action scenes and the way he looks than, the character, but it's fine.
Yeah, I mean I even prefer this to like watch 300, although I haven't seen 300 in a while.
Sure, yeah. All right. Is there anything else you want to add to this?
Um, I have a question for you. Where do you hope DC will go in the future, and where
Uh,
do you hope that there's any continuation of the Snyderverse, or do you think
I
it's
think
done?
here's the thing. I think it's done. But if there is another movie, that's fine. I'd be fine for it. But I just think it's also just the actors have kind of moved on at this point.
Yeah,
But yeah, for the DC as a whole, I don't know. I think I don't know. Could maybe use like a soft reboot or something.
Yeah, isn't it that's going to be the Flashpoint movie?
Here's the thing. I
The
don't
last
know if the
movie set up.
Flashpoint movie is actually going to do that, but that's how it usually works in
Yeah,
comics. Flashpoints fixes everything.
yeah. It feels very X-Men Days of Future Past in that regard. Um, which I mean, there were good things and bad things about that one as well. I would say X-Men Days of Future Past is probably the last good X-Men movie, except for Logan, and I guess
Yeah,
Deadpool. But those aren't really X-Men; those are more solo films.
sure, yeah.
Hopefully, that's not the case for Flashpoint.
Of what?
That it's the last good DC movie. Although
Oh no, no, heck no, please
I
no.
wouldn't say there have been that many good DC movies. Actually, let me look at this.
I mean, I'd say there's a lot actually of good DC movies if you include animated
The
movies
the
as well.
DCU specifically.
Oh no, there's not a whole lot.
Yeah,
Like I'd say DCU doesn't have a good track record. Like here's the thing. I love Batman versus Superman, but I don't think it's my ideal setting for our heroes.
yeah,
So if we do reboot this universe, I hope they take a page from the Justice League animated TV show that worked well and was good.
yeah.
Set up your main characters, such as Batman and Superman first. Get those set up first.
And you've already set up Aquaman and Wonder Woman, Shazam,
I mean, here's the
kind
thing.
of.
It's like you don't. I mean, if we're just starting over from scratch,
I don't know if we want to start over from scratch.
no matter like,
I think Wonder Woman's too popular.
here's the thing. If we start over from scratch, I think the way you should do it is the way that they did do it, like 20 years ago, 30
Yeah,
years ago. You start out with Batman. Have it just be his solo thing. Bring in Superman. Have it be his own thing. And then you do a thing where you introduce their other characters within that world in films. Then you finally do the Justice League, where you can still introduce a lot of those characters in that movie, but explore them more in their sequel films.
yeah. Do you think there's any hope for the DCU?
I mean, there's always hope. I mean, the Flash movie sounds interesting. That's about it.
I mean, the Suicide Squad movie looked
Honestly,
like
I
it
don't
could
give
be
a crap
decent.
about Suicide Squad. It's not a concept I really care for. I don't really feel that this movie is gonna be my favorite.
I don't think it'll be my favorite as well. I'm just hoping it's one of the good DCU
Here's
movies.
the I won't say it's gonna be a good DCU movie. I'm just gonna say at least we have Polka Dot Man.
I mean, yeah, it looks like it'll at least be fun.
It doesn't even look fun to me. It just
Okay,
looks like a fake fun movie. But it's James Gunn,
yeah,
so it's fine. Either way, it just it's the Suicide Squad just really has mainly for me my dislike of Harley Quinn.
yeah. I'm a Harley fan, so
Here's the thing: I like Harley, just not the Harley that we've been seeing in these past few years.
okay. I like. I mean, Birds of Prey is my favorite DC EU film,
Oh,
so
I hate that movie. It's
I
terrible.
know you do. I know you do.
Like they butchered those characters that I love so much. Like, what the heck are they? Who are these people?
I just thought it was fun
Why is
and had a good message.
Montoya just ignored? Like, what's going on?
I thought it was a great movie. And
Ah,
Wonder Woman is good.
Matthew, don't
Shazam!
say great.
I mean it. It might be one of my top films of 2020.
Uh,
I know we disagree on this,
we
but
don't.
we disagree on many things.
Mm-hmm. Sure we do.
What is your favorite DCEU film? Is it Batman versus Superman?
Oh, the DCEU
Yeah.
that we have so far?
Or is Joker technically DCEU? I have it
No.
on my list, so
No, Joker is Elseworld.
okay. Well, I have it on my list, and I'm not going to take it off. So if you want to put it on your top, then go for it.
My top for what?
For DCEU, or even just recent DC films.
What are we talking about here? Are we doing a list?
We can do a list. I have a list.
Oh, dear Matthew, you're too much, man.
I am too much.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is there anything else related to this film that we need to talk about?
Um, 4 hours was long.
All right, that seems like it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. I guess I don't know that we've given our like final thoughts on it.
I mean, I don't really have any final thoughts to say. Like everything that can be said about this movie has been said. It's like I don't know. It's just way too
Is
much.
it good, bad, mediocre,
I'd say it's good.
excellent, incredible?
I
Change
wouldn't
the
say
world.
it's that, but it's good.
Yeah, I would agree.
It has excellent moments, but I wouldn't say it's good.
Yeah, it's better than the Whedon version,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
doesn't take much.
Shush. Anyway, thank you guys for watching and listening, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.